I'm glad he saved the little thing on my computer. Let me see if I can make it big enough. But essentially, because he comes to the like hiring days for everybody. And okay, is that working? He is. Story of being a police officer. He was a nurse and a paramedic. Um, moved to Madison, Wisconsin because of their reputation for progressive policing and a mental health unit. That's what they have. So it's a mental health unit. Um, and then he's here to plug career fair. And they pay like $50,000 a year. You don't even have to have a finished degree, and they'll pay to finish your degree. So then he went on to identify where police and social work intersect, barriers to effective collaboration and strategies to improve collaboration. So he's trying to hire somebody from our either criminal justice, social work, or sociology to come up there. And I'll at least get to his number at the end, so you could take a picture of that or email him and ask about it. I don't know how willing, if you're like me and you have family in Ohio, a lot of us stick around here, but that's why I've stayed around. But if you know people, so police and social workers share cases. He had mental health commitments, if it's a suicide attempt, acute mental illness, family and domestic child crisis, abuse, neglect, etc., ADOA, and then dangerousness of the mental illness. And let's see here. I wonder if a lot of people send out junk emails at lunchtime. It's like I literally get so many emails at this time. I want to make sure they don't blend in something important just because it's junk. So vulnerable populations in crisis, ADOA, non-compliance. So also professional challenges, respond to mental health emergencies, shift or duty, on call. So you'd probably do, it's like a crisis hotline, 24-hour shift, and then get like a shift off. Primary responders exert power and control, responsibility and ownership, subject to scrutiny, second guessing concerns about liability.
So this is what he responds to that he may find challenging?
He was saying these are the professional challenges both social workers and cops run into, which I don't think we're on call 24. You can be. There are some jobs you can be. And then he said the difference is police command, but also lots of discretion. Like they have a chief, a deputy, a lieutenant, call-driven, actions more visible to public, contact with mentally ill clients is sporadic, resulting in limited familiarity with mental health concerns. Social work, more focused on diagnosis, assessment, and the long-term treatment. More extensive specialized training, and emergency mental health and risk assessment, more specific and specialized than police training is. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, he's doing both.
He kind of does do both, and or he's at least hiring for somebody to do this so he can get back and do more police stuff. But they're hiring more people, and we're the closest HBCU to Madison, Wisconsin. That's why he drove all the way down here. So I think you would go Chicago, then Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I feel like it's west of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that's probably like 4 hours, 5, maybe 6 away. So it's not a ton far, but it's a half a day's drive. Your waking hours are then, let's see if I can stretch this. So then he kind of covered barriers to effective collaboration, like the divergent perspectives of unsafe behavior, a securing situation versus least restrictive outcome. That's what we do as social workers, the least restrictive. We try to get people out into society again, even if they take a mental health concern. Police focus on behavior and ensuring safety, not on treatability. So they just make sure nobody shoots themselves or others. And then the mental health versus criminal justice. You've got the mental health commitment instead of arrest, which is not necessarily either or. It could be both. Hospital versus jail. Is a client best managed by mental health or criminal justice system? Mental health symptoms versus volitional choices. I actually don't know what volitional means. Have you ever heard of that word? Is it voluntary? Anyway, mental health versus volitional choices may not be mutually exclusive or easy to distinguish. Why put a person with a mental illness in jail? They could have has the individual received adequate treatment? This is where, again, he's like balancing policing and social work. You want to consider a response most likely to achieve desired behavioral change. And then people with a history of criminal behavior can have mental health episodes requiring treatment. Sometimes they get treatment in jail if it's a good jail. And then people with mental illness can make poor choices. Best addressed with logical legal consequences. Hello. So some people get treatment in jail. That's the only way they get treatment is getting locked up, unfortunately. Like drug and alcohol offenders a lot of times. I think I have to replace my filter on the Brita. It does not taste right.
I actually have a Brita that's still wrapped in the plastic.
Because it is a bit of startup
Yeah.
to get it working. You got to soak it.
I used to buy bottled water anyway, so it's really hard to get into the Brita that I have.
Yeah, I know. I probably will change it now that it's finally tasting like this. And I probably have one wrapped up. You're right. I probably just go do that right after this class. So it is a lot of work though. You got to soak it. Yeah, you have to soak it first. The filter. And then usually what I do is just like pour that water through or out or something else. And then it's supposed to work. But this one still has taste. And I feel like the Brita. Oh, you were
I'm thinking about it.
donated to Nikita in the social work department.
It's still in plastic.
Yeah. Give it to her. As I've told her that neither one of us like drinking the water here. I'm like, you need a freaking Brita.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. System issues. So you've got multiple public and private mental health systems, HMO, private insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, private pay, uninsured, county funded, AODA, lack of secure facilities. That's a detox, like when you detox from heroin or even alcohol. Is this building hot again today? As I feel like I'm on fire. It's just like humid, so humid. Make sure none of these are emergency. Emails. I know, yeah, because there's no flow in this room whatsoever. It is a little crazy. So yeah, all of these system things, do they have insurance and or Medicare and Medicaid? Transport time and security concerns, medical clearance requirements, protocol inconsistencies, protected health information. Like we have HIPAA that we have to protect, and probably the cops do too. I never thought about that. Here's a federal rule. So 45 CFR, that means federal rules. Covered entity may disclose protected mental health information if in good faith he/she believes the disclosure is necessary to prevent or lessen a serious or imminent threat to the health or safety of a person and the public, so cops can do that, or is to a person or persons reasonably able to prevent or lessen the threat, such as police and or target of threat. So you still can break confidentiality if that's the case. So recommending for effective collaboration, he would say recognize and respect professional differences. Social work has expertise in mental health treatment issues. Police have expertise in the safety or control issues. Credibility is the best basis for a working relationship. They treat each other as colleagues and collaborators. They maintain mutual involvement in determining disposition. They avoid reducing police to the role of a taxi service or babysitters, which I bet you a lot of social workers do that. I've done that before. All the cops and are a babysitter. Cultivate good working relationships, learn about relevant mental health and police policies and practices, go on ride-alongs. A lot of social workers do ride-alongs. Anybody can go on ride-alongs. Apparently you could go on a ride-along. You just ask a cop station to go on a ride-along. It's kind of interesting.
And you just go with them on that shit. Oh, wow.
I know.
That's interesting.
It is. Attend police briefings, observe mental health crisis shift, and offer to do trainings together. Probably they let you do a ride-along because they are publicly funded. Like, we pay their salary, so it's possible that you could do a ride-along. Okay, last 10 slides. Mental health emergencies are not the time for departure from standard practice. Share need to know information that clarifies the presence of mental illness or dangerousness. Keep each other informed and updated as the case proceeds, and then avoid barriers as they arise for problem-solving perspective. That's also probably why they're trying to hire a social worker, because a lot of times they do work with social workers, but if they had them from their own department, that would probably be a lot easier. Also, communication across the agency. So recognize and use police chain of command for assistance. And I guess that's if you're a social worker hired by them, you would do that. Also, appoint mental health clinician as police liaison to serve as a contact person. Ask police for a contact person in their department for mental health issues. And then set up systems meetings in non-emergent situations to troubleshoot identified barriers or consult about particularly complex cases. So again, that's probably why they want to hire a social worker. So it's all in-house for them. Madison Police Department, Specialized Police Response Program. So this is the job. It's a tiered system. You have patrol officers. All officers receive CIT-based training. Mental health liaison officers are volunteer patrol officers. Mental health officers are a full-time team. And then co-located crisis worker works with patrol, mental health organizations, and a program coordinator. And then the community outreach captain is a system collaboration policy and coordination person. So here's the mental health officer. This is like the job. So you attend weekly meetings to plan schedules, share information, and coordinate necessary follow-up, proactive issues, review all routed reports and identify individuals in need of outreach and issues in need of follow-up at the district level. You communicate and coordinate follow-up with district mental health liaison officers, and then communicate with district officers regarding individuals' specific mental health issues and attend briefings to share and receive information. Also coordinate home visits and other follow-up. in conjunction with mental health providers, advocates, in order to connect individuals to necessary resources and to mitigate recurring patrol calls for service. That's like the job. If you called him and asked about the job, also attend doing the same slide twice. That's funny. That is like the exact same. Looks like one has an extra enter. And then the co-located crisis worker, you consult with patrol officers, detectives, sergeants, and other police personnel regarding subjects, cases that appear to involve mental health issues. Provide crisis response in the field when available as mental health related calls for service arise. Attend weekly meetings to plan schedules, share information, and coordinate necessary follow-up and do proactive initiatives, and then review all routed reports to identify individuals in need of outreach and issues in need of follow-up, and then coordinate home visits and other follow-up as needed to connect individuals to necessary resources. So here's the dude you either call or email if you wanted info. All that to get through to this. And he comes at least every year. I feel like he's been even twice. So, oh yeah, he had some citations on his own slides. That's impressive. There it is. Like one about suicide. See if they even open for me.
Well, this might be a silly question, but so in this position, you're an officer too?
I think you actually are an officer. You get like all the benefits and like the 20-year pension.
Okay, because I'm wondering, like, you do social work stuff, but like you also respond to like, hey, there's been a robbery or something like that. So you have to go out.
I don't think that. No, I don't think you respond to those calls, if that's what you're asking. In fact, let's see. Oh yeah, that is the last slide. But here's what he looked like. I think he does actually get trained with a firearm, but I don't think that he ever. Because I think he is one, unless if he's just recruiting. But like in that picture, pretty sure he's trained with all the stuff. Because that's him and his dad. So, but yeah, you could call and ask him and email him. He like seemed to be willing to answer any questions about that. And that's the one. I feel like we did it in your class last year that was like in the afternoon. Then he came again on like another class that was in the spring. So he did it in the fall, did it in the spring, and that was kind of his breakdown. So yeah, interesting deal. I promised him I would take a class and share that again because he wasn't able to make it to all of my classes. Usually only Tuesday or Thursday classes is when he'll come. Is that when they do career fairs most often? Is like Tuesdays or Thursdays? Okay. Right. Right. Yeah, and then he would come and speak at all my classes, which was crazy. So, as promised, I gave him that class time to have it, and that was the. Oh, hopefully it's still the same one. Like if you already turned something in, like it lets you turn in a second item in there too. Let me make sure. There should be. Okay, let me see what it looks like. I could have messed up. It's very possible. Assignments, and then. So you had choose a date to lead and then leading the group. So most people just turn in their PowerPoints there, right? And leading a group or filmed live on YouTube Cloud, save to share with others. Is that it? Okay. I was going to say, I can add another one if you need me to add another one.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm just gonna. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad it works. I was going to check up on some of those. Oh, update required for Chrome D2L? I didn't know that. What is that? What? I've never seen that. I thought that mine was all updated. And a lot of times they tell you, but do you ever use Chrome?
I'm pretty sure. I just either don't realize I'm using it or.
Right. Oh, I forgot about this training now too. Because there was like one last video on that. Did I ever finish? That is my $1 million question. 28 of 47. Oh, it was training and these different names and nicknames that I never knew about gay identities. Bear, cub, chicken, otter, wolf. Oh, I have got to change that, Britta. That is terrible. It's really bad. Oh yeah, if I press it too soon, it'll say you have to watch all 15 seconds of the slide before you go on to the next one. So that was kind of in addition to everything we did the other day. How are your other classes? The papers in Nikita's class, pretty much.
Well, yeah, so she extended it, which was great for me.
That's good.
I needed that.
Yeah.
She did, but on that paper, it's literally, I have to stretch, kind of, basically what I'm saying. I just need to fill a page, and then I'm done.
Right.
But I feel like I've already said a lot of what I needed to say, but I'm not going to turn in a short paper. Like, I'd rather repeat myself than turn in a short paper.
Right.
And then I have a paper due, I think, Thursday at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
So I have to write that, and what else do I have? I have a computer literacy homework due on Thursday as well at 3. I'm just like, I mean, it's not that I can't do it. I know that I can. It's just like having those deadlines and stuff like out, just stuff that's outstanding is what bothers me.
Right. Yeah.
On certain aspects of personal biases.
Some of these things I didn't even know. That's
Can you take care of this?
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Wait, let me guess. You had a very different mental picture in your head when I said boss. Did it look more like him? Don't worry, you're not alone. Our brains make automatic associations without us even realizing it. And while these associations help us make rapid-fire decisions, they can also be influenced by potential blind spots. Bias happens when we have a preconceived notion of who we think would be right for a particular role based on stereotypes. These mental pictures are based on who we've seen succeed in the past and can influence who we think will succeed in the future. Let's test the theory. Don't worry, just between us. I'm going to say a word and I want you to point to the word on the screen that you most associate with. Ready? Let's go. Delicate, powerful, caring, family, career, strong. Just happened. Well, if you're like most people, you associated communal words with female and assertive words with male because those implicit associations are ingrained in our unconscious mind. A network of researchers from prominent universities developed the implicit association test. This test helps people identify their potential unconscious biases across a variety of dimensions. These types of ingrained associations can often shape our prototypes for who's qualified to lead in the workplace. Take the orchestra. When orchestras started conducting blind auditions in the 70s, the number of female musicians shot up 20%. So either women suddenly played exponentially better than behind the curtain, or the conductors weren't aware they had a prototype bias towards male musicians, and this bias was costing them talent. Another study found that the exact same resumes with more black sounding names received 50% fewer callbacks than those same resumes with traditionally white names. The idea of prototype bias cuts even deeper than that. Studies show we often have prototypes for the people we believe would succeed in a job, and we may unconsciously change our criteria to help those people get the job. You may be thinking, I'm not like that. Well, the participants in the study on prototype bias thought the same thing. And ironically, those who thought they were most objective ended up being the most biased. Blind spots can span any dimension of diversity and can potentially lead to bad decisions. Not only can outcomes, the good news is that there are ways to overcome prototype bias. You can start by setting objective criteria. This can help prevent you from being swayed by irrelevant factors. And you can double check your objectivity by sharing the why behind your decisions. Lastly, don't make assumptions based solely on your idea of fit, because when it comes to success, one size doesn't fit all.
So with that in mind, I want to give us a moment to evaluate some of our personal biases. So some items that come up. How do you feel about transgender individuals using a bathroom that corresponds with their gender identity or expression? So how, for example, would you feel about a trans woman, someone who was assigned sex male at birth, but inwardly and outwardly expresses a feminine gender, using a women's bathroom? How do you feel about open versus closed relationships? These exist in both heterosexual and queer culture. Whether or not someone has one partner or multiple partners, how would you feel if someone who you knew was married, you saw them out on a date with someone? Or if you walked into a situation where you were introduced to two partners, one individual. How do you feel about LGBTQ parents? What's your initial thought when you think of two men raising a boy or two women raising a girl?
Oh,
So
no.
now that we've talked about that and we've had a good discussion, would you automatically assume
Okay,
that
let's me go
it's
ahead.
Be positive? I can tell you for a fact that growing up, I thought that everyone who was gay had AIDS. I just thought it was something that happened. Before I was ever sexually active, let alone sexually active with another man, I was getting tested for HIV, and I was convinced that the test would come back positive, and I'm not alone. One of my best friends, we grew up at the same time, we're the same age, although he likes to remind me that I'm a few months older, thought the same. It's a common misconception, and it's a common bias. That's okay. What do we do about it? Remember, biases are natural. We need to be aware of those that are conscious and unconscious and how they play a role in our actions. So take a moment and write down this website. implicit.harvard.edu/implicit/takeatest.html. Go ahead, look at it again, write it down. Make sure you have it. You can go to this website and you can take implicit bias tests not only for transgender issues and gay and lesbian issues, but race, sex, age. It's a good opportunity to give yourself a check, to go in and take a look, to have that internal perspective. And see where your biases lie. Once again, it's not wrong to have them. We need to know what they are, acknowledge them, and move forward. We all have biases. I even have biases in my own community.
I wonder if it'll even let me go. Is it?
I was gonna say, what was the website again, but it's okay.
Did he mention a website? About what? What was the website for?
Um,
To explore biases?
Yeah, it's implicit.harvard.edu, so I should be able to find it.
Okay, that is. I was gonna say now it's gonna make me play
Okay, so now
the whole thing
we
again.
talked
So
about that.
I'm.
Had a good discussion there. We want to talk about evaluating personal biases.
Does it let me? It might. Okay, good. So with the HIV/AIDS one though, one other last movie was Dallas Buyers Club. Have you ever seen that? All right. Trailer. This is one of the most interesting movies ever, and this is actually fact when it came out. Okay, here's the official trailer. And I bet it's on like Netflix. I don't even know how you know. Oh, it says buy or rent. So here it is, and it's about HIV community and biases with stuff growing up. This was the 80s though, 85. So it's real bad. Rated R.
Chris, you've tested positive for HIV. Have you ever used intravenous drugs? Have you ever engaged in homosexual conduct? You made a mistake. That ain't me. Mr. Woodruff? Yes, and you have 30 days left. Newsflash, y'all. Ain't nothing. There can kill Ron Woodruff in 30 days. Drugs. They just released your testing, and I know this hospital is inside. And me.
It doesn't work that way, Mr. Woodruff. Where are you going?
They got good meds out of Mexico. It's better than what you can get here in the States. Yes, protein, totally non-toxic. You can't buy this in the USA. Unproven. You can be making a fortune off of this.
You look great.
Honestly, it was amazing. Anything to declare? Nada. They're importing illegal drugs for sale. It's a very serious offense.
They're not illegal, they're merely unapproved.
I've been looking for you, Lone Star.
Just Tinkerbell, unless you got more cash for new clients, I'm busy.
You don't deserve our money.
That's 10, 5%.
25. Take it or leave it.
Welcome to the Dallas Buyers Club.
You treating these people?
I don't treat them that. I ain't selling drugs, I'm selling membership.
Walker, understood. He's your patient.
Yes, sir.
Girls with named players on the Dallas Cowboys.
Thanks to Helen Forrester.
What is it? I have a court order permitting us to confiscate any and all non-FDA approved supplements.
They didn't miss fly.
Check Amsterdam, Ghana.
And Israel to do business with you.
Why are we here?
Nice restaurant. Beautiful woman. That's where I feel like a human again.
Mr. Woodruff, what is going on?
People are dying.
You're nothing more than a common drug dealer.
TJ's Crayon. Freaking homo. I got one line. Want to mean something?
So it's a true story, actually. That's what's kind of the most interesting about it. It actually went on in 1985. And he was not gay. He got AIDS. And that in 85, everyone who was coming up HIV positive, you would just immediately assume they were gay, even if that wasn't the case. So he had to get over his own biases. You saw, he's like, you calling me a homo? And then worked with transgender and trans folks to get the Dallas Buyers Club out. And I think the drug is now approved. Whatever he was selling was not approved. He had to buy it in Mexico.
Right.
And now it's approved. So,
So these things.
shoot. I don't remember. Let's see here.
That's a rough spot to be in, like they're helping people, but they're
Right.
They call him Bruce, like, we're just the everyday drug dealer. And I'm like, they're just trying to help people.
I feel like he did a little. Let's see here. Let's see. Is this okay? Maybe this is it. So here he is. So March of 88, AIDS buyer sprang up at the time after being diagnosed with HIV. He sued the US FDA over a ban on peptide T. It was a drug using Woodruff's final years became the basis of his movie 20 years later. It doesn't really say if he was in, okay, maybe here it does. He did go to jail before then too.
And so he died from the
Right, most people did back then. I feel like the only one who has not yet is Magic Johnson. Seriously, is he had like all the money in the world to buy all this stuff, but most people couldn't afford it. So
Oh yeah, so it's 7 years after. Died on September 12th.
of what year was it? 92.
Yeah,
Dang.
it's just from.
Pneumonia brought on by
Oh,
AIDS,
okay, yeah.
which stinks because he did go to jail before that also. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, I don't know where to watch it for free, but it's a non-fictional movie. Is that what it is? Non-fiction, not fake. It's a real. It's like the dude's real. So, and he did go to jail. I wonder if they have one that has his. So here's one that has a biography of him. Interesting. Maybe when they're saying good things about him, they don't want to mention his jail time. McConaughey lost 47 pounds for that role. Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say, he was really dumb.
dang. I mean, I don't think he'd need to lose weight in the first place. So to lose 47 pounds if you don't, oh my gosh, that's got to be real bad on your system, I think. So,
I don't even want to know what kind of diet it is.
no, that's insane. So yeah, just getting into biases and again, what we bring into the group and how do we bias other people and how we